wanted to go out, but it looks like some stormy weather's rolling on in. Hello, my lovelies. I am author Madam Crystal Butterfly. And you know something, my lovelies? It has been a while since I brought you a nice book review. So I feel I ought to get the book review party restarted with Full Disclosure by Stormy Daniels. But before I get too deep into reviewing this book, I think I should tell you a little bit about what this story is all about.
In this book, Stormy Daniels tells her whole story for the first time. What it's like being a leading actress and director in the adult film business. The full truth about her journey from a rough childhood in Louisiana into the national stage, and everything about her interaction with Donald Trump that led to the non-disclosure agreement and the behind-the-scenes attempts to intimidate her. Stormy is funny, sharp, warm. Her story is a thoroughly American one of a girl who loved reading and horses and who understood from a very young age what she wanted, and who also knew she'd have to get every step of the way there on her own. Her whole life, poor Violet has always been subjected to the cruelty of her guardians, wishing to one day be free, but if she truly wants her freedom, it's time for her to fight for it. Violet Evergreen in the Seeds of Rebellion, available now on Amazon Books.
Children are supposed to grow up in a home with love, warmth, and plenty of attention. Unfortunately for dear Stormy, her parents decided to just forget about all of that.
Divorce is rough, especially on a child. When Stormy's parents divorced, her world was destroyed. Her mother stopped being a mom when the marriage ended. Stormy's house fell into below poor condition. She had to make peace with the fact that rats and other vermin had moved into the house and they were here to stay. And her mother was almost never home, and it was not just because she had to work. Little Stormy went from being the apple of her mother's eye to being an afterthought. As for her father, he never wanted a child and had no interest in her. The only reason why Stormy saw her father at all as she grew up was because her stepmother wanted Stormy to visit them.
This next part of the review, my lovelies, I'm going to warn you. Stormy was subjected to something that no child should ever be subjected to, so I'm going to let you know the next part of the review you might find very triggering.
When Stormy went to spend time with one of her friends, they ended up watching a movie at her friend's neighbor's house. When the neighbor started pressuring Stormy's friend to go into a room with them, Stormy could tell something was not right. Feeling that she needed to do something to protect her friend, she volunteered to go into the room with the man. He took her into the room with him where he molested her. This abuse continued for a couple of years until Stormy and her friend were able to distance themselves from that monster. Eventually, the truth came out about what kind of person this man was when he attempted to molest another little girl. Shortly after the truth came out about him, the truth came out about Stormy's friend being assaulted by this man. The school counselor took Stormy into his office and asked her if she knew anything about her friend's neighbor assaulting her. Stormy answered truthfully, yes, she did know something about it and that she was also a victim of that monster. The counselor looked Stormy right in the eyes and asked her why she was lying. This really disgusts me because when everything came to light, the children from upper scale homes were paid attention to. But Stormy, a little girl from an impoverished household, she had to be accused of being a liar. Basically, the counselor was willing to try to say, oh, well, he hurt those other children, but he couldn't have hurt Stormy. Why? She was friends with the girl, she was frequently in the vicinity, and she admitted that she had been a victim as well. This person was supposed to be a school counselor who works with children and is supposed to listen to them when they tell him something. Instead, his idea is to call Stormy a liar. Why? Because she doesn't come from a high-end home, so who cares about her? Which, in my opinion, is simply disgusting. When you are an adult, it is your job to protect a child and do anything you can within your power. That if somebody hurt a child, to step up and try to help them, not ignore them just because they don't come from a rich household.
I have to admit, after reading this book, I gained a lot of admiration for dear Stormy, because usually a child in her situation, you're lucky if they don't pick up a horrible drug habit. And you're even luckier half the time if they get a job at the local fast food place with some sketchy health regulations. Stormy was determined not to end up like a lot of the kids in her neighborhood whose futures didn't really go anywhere and they didn't try to aspire to have more. She knew no matter what she was going through that she was worth more, and she fought to make sure that she would have a better future.
Stormy was pretty much set up with every reason and thing to make you fail in life. She became a complete afterthought to her parents, who clearly didn't care about her anymore. Her home was full of all kinds of rodents, cockroaches, and other vermin. There was rarely ever any food in the house, and she would go days being hungry. Combine all that with her neighborhood going from super nice to a mega slum. However, Stormy was determined she was not going to be like many of the neighbor girls who got pregnant and dropped out of high school. Stormy was determined to graduate and to make something of her life. Also, where Stormy was an afterthought to her father, her stepmother wanted to have a relationship with her. So whenever Stormy would come to visit her father, her stepmother would do things with Stormy, such as teaching Stormy how to ride a horse, which provided her with an outlet for a lot of the distress she was dealing with. Her stepmother also did force Stormy's father to spend a lot of quality time with her when she visited him. Sadly, they never bonded because her father just really did not want to be a dad, despite them finding several things that they had in common. Stormy's mother also remarried later to a man who was a raging alcoholic. But despite his problems, he at least paid the bills, so Stormy had food in the house and did not have to go long periods without anything to eat. Stormy was also able to keep up her horse riding when she was not visiting her father. One night when her stepfather came to pick her up from the horse ranch where she liked to ride and did some volunteer things, he was sloppy drunk, and the owner of the facility could tell that he was drunk, and there was no way she was going to let him put a young Stormy in his car when he's completely sauced. After convincing the man to just leave and not take Stormy with him, he handed Stormy a large wad of cash before he drove off. Stormy took advantage of the money he gave her to buy a horse that the owner of the ranch was looking to sell. Her horse did have a bit of a stank attitude and would often attack Stormy, and this did not stop until Stormy bit its ear. After that, the horse dropped the attitude and let Stormy ride her without any problems, and she was able to grow a strong connection with her pet horse.
So, what exactly got Stormy interested in becoming an adult entertainer.
Okay, my lovelies, so I am not going to get deep into Stormy's adult entertainer career or the incident with the former president Donald Trump. The reason why I am not going to really talk about either of those things in this video has to do with the fact that this is a spoiler-free review video, and I know many of you probably clicked on this video to learn more about the incident with the ex-president and probably a little bit about her adult entertainer career, and I feel if I tell you that, it gets too spoilery and you won't grab this book and read it yourself. And I really do feel that this is a book people should read, mostly because of how society views adult film stars combined with many things involving her and the ex-president. And just bringing it up, I just feel you need to grab a copy of this book. Trust me, you will not regret it, and read it for yourself instead of me telling you all the juicy details and you're like, oh, that's interesting, and then never grabbing this book. You're gonna want to grab a copy of this book. It is definitely worth the money. But I will tell you a little bit of Stormy getting started in the adult entertainment business. It all started with a girl Stormy knew from school rolling up in an expensive car. When Stormy asked the girl how she could afford all of this, she told her how she made her money at a local strip club. Stormy and a friend went to the club to check it out, and they were invited to get on stage and perform by the women who worked there. Stormy took them up on their offer and had fun performing for customers. Also, she really liked the money she made, so she decided to become a regular for the club. And she felt like this was a very good move for her, especially since the women who worked at the club not only looked out for her, but they taught her how to do a lot of things like makeup and other things that her mother was supposed to be teaching her, and it made her feel more cared for and special. Sometime after she moved out of her mother's house, she took a trip with a friend because her friend was going to star in an adult film. While she was there, she caught the interest of one of the people in charge of the video. They asked her if she was interested in making adult films, and Stormy took them up on their offer. This led to her not only being able to build a successful career in adult films, but to be able to write and direct several adult films and some films that were outside of pornography.
Alright, my lovelies, it's time to rate this story. So, when it comes to Full Disclosure by Stormy Daniels, I am giving it the rating of 5 butterflies out of 5. This book was such a good read, just a real page turner. And as I mentioned earlier, there was a lot of stuff, especially involving Stormy's career, and a certain incident with an orange person that I didn't really get into. And I mostly did that because as I was writing the review, I realized if I had told you anything extra about that, I would make it so this book was not worth reading. And as a lover of the written word, I cannot deny you the thrill of reading something exciting in a book. It would just would not be a happy time for me if I did. So I am letting you know right now, you need to go and do something nice for yourself, because you are a good person who does nice things, and you have been not doing a whole lot of good things for yourself. So you need to do nice stuff for yourself. Like, get a copy of this book. You hear me? Now go do something nice for yourself and grab this book. Now, my lovelies, if you don't mind, please give this video a like. Leave me a little comment. And if you have not yet, slap the subscribe button like it owes you money. And don't forget to give that little notification bell a ring. And with that, my lovelies, this video is a wrap. Now, if you please come with me as we dance into a world of magic.